Hello. Welcome to the Imperfect Podcast, where we have raw conversations with amazing guests. And today, my guest is Tony Cerella. Or no, not Cerella.
Oh, no, you said it right. I have a lovely story to tell about that as well.
But we can start with that in a few seconds. But yeah, so Tony, thank you for being among our first guests. We've met through coaching, Tony and I, and we really enjoyed our journey together. And I'm so excited today to have you here, Tony. So please, would you be gentle enough and kind enough to introduce yourself and to tell us more about the story of Cerella?
Ah, well, first, thank you. You are a tremendous human being, and it's my pleasure to sit here with you today as an imperfect guest on the Imperfect Podcast. So the short version is I'm Tony Cerella. I'm an American by birth, French mother, and second generation Italian father. And I'll transition right into my story. So most of my professional journey was as an Army officer in the American Army. And it's exactly what you would expect. A rigid lifestyle, uniforms, short hair, not a lot of vulnerability, the pursuit, the unending and exhausting pursuit of perfection, because the lack of perfection in high stress situations can have serious consequences. So it's 2018, almost 10 years ago now. We have just moved to Italy from Germany. I'm assigned to a NATO headquarters near Milan. And I'm working, doing very, very important things, of course, as we all do in our worlds. And I walk into this office, and it's mostly Italians. They're all wonderful people. And I'm Lieutenant Colonel Cerella. That's how I pronounce my name, the Americanized version of it, for 44 years of my life. And so I walk in, I'm introducing myself, and Olindo Gentile, lovely Italian senior officer that he was. He says no. He says hello, but no, sir, that's not your name. So I'm, of course,
Yeah.
stoic and confused as one would be in that situation. He's like, "You're not saying your last name correctly, sir." I'm like, "I'm sorry." Well, no, he's like, "Your name is Antonio or Tony Cerella," because in Italian, the CE is pronounced CH. So he's like, and he added in this lovely but very kind way of correcting me, he said, really in Italian, if you're not singing your last name or singing through a sentence or a story, you're not doing it very well. So I walked in trying to present it's not a story of perfection, but this illusion of perfection. And they very polite me said, "No, it's okay. You're imperfect. You're fine." And then I've learned from that. So I've adjusted, and now I pronounce my name properly when I'm in the relevant place.
So
So
you
there you
didn't
go.
know before that it was
I mean, with the French that I know and the Italian, I was still starting to learn. So it didn't register.
yeah,
And then, or someone maybe told me decades ago, but I didn't know until I arrived, and he was very politely told me that I
nice.
need to fix myself.
Beautiful story. But yeah, Tony, you're also the father of two amazing kids that turned 17 in September, and
Mm-hmm.
you're now living in Italy, in Como, no?
See? Yes.
It's amazing. It's amazing. And I remember the first time we met. We were in this coaching exchange program
Mm-hmm.
with the ICF, and I saw your picture. I talked to you about your picture, and
Yeah.
Army, U.S. Army, and I was like, "What the heck? What am I gonna do with this guy?" you know?
What did I say yes to?
Yes, exactly. And I'm the opposite in terms of I'm like very heart centered. I'm like not at all. And so I remember that it was amazing for me to discover behind the picture and behind the title a very sensitive person and a very aware and
Uh,
conscious person. Well, yeah, tell me how did you go through these? How did you go through that? And what was the moment where you said to yourself, what the heck, life is imperfect and I want to be imperfect.
So, when I was a young man, I needed stability and certainty, and that's what the Army provided for me with its many flaws. And, after I had been doing it for 10 or 15 years, I started to realize through either failure or having genuine, intimate conversations with people that perfection is this completely unattainable and exhausting ideal. And I learned in my own perfections and in sitting down and talking with others that all these flaws, these things that we put in buckets of bad, man, when I really started to think about what the hell I would be outside of a rigid space like the Army, when I fell short, when I missed the mark in something, I was like, okay, I may not fit in this world. And I continued for years after and left when I wanted to at the right time and place. But I had to stumble across my own. I mean, if you kind of visualize it, it's like you're walking down a path and there's this log, this big piece of wood in the path that you don't see, and you trip over it and you look back. It's like, yeah, how could I miss that? Of course, it's right there. It's me. So yeah, there we go.
And do you think many of like there are many other US Army officers who feel the same, or you were an exception?
Oh, that's a hard question to generalize. Let's go even broader. So institutions like the Army are designed to subordinate or take the idea of the individual and subordinate it to the collective. And there's value in that, right? But first responder, doctor, nurse, all of these kind of rigid hierarchies. So that exists for a reason. And of course, there's a cost to that. I think part of me was always there. That was always me, but I had gently pushed that part of me down for decades. I think it's fair to say. And then when I walked into or started discovering coaching, that led me to therapy for a lot of things I had not resolved. When I actually started to be vulnerable, because many institutions, certainly the Army, is not one that encourages or champions things like vulnerability. And so, yeah, I had to do a lot of work on myself and see how much of me, what was truly me, was underneath the schedule, the uniform, the regimentation, etc. So I think I was there, but I think I also had to suffer a lot
Exactly.
to see myself. Yeah, I don't know where I was going with that. I tend to wander, as you know, having
Uh,
coached me. So
No, but I mean, I think exactly when you were saying that, I was thinking of exactly this. Like, it must have been really tough for you to be able to go hand in hand and in parallel in your day-to-day job, which is very rigid, as you were mentioning, and very tough, and in discovering that you are vulnerable. Because
yeah,
as you mentioned, in the army or in these institutions where the individual disappears, you cannot be vulnerable. So, Tony, let us get into the our hands in the mud,
let's do it.
what is your biggest imperfection today?
Oh, I love this because a past version of me would have sat up for days and thought this through in like a very I have to have an outline, I have to have a plan, I have to when I'm going to talk. And now here I sit and I don't know I don't know where we're going to go. Oh, it's exciting. Okay. So let's sit. Where are we going to go? Where are we going to go towards today? I think biggest imperfection that I'm trying to work through, and we talked about a bit of this beforehand, is accepting that slower is okay. Um, Let me sit with that for a sec. We have been, and it's not unique to my story or my past or my journey. We have been conditioned to accept broadly that you have to be doing something. You have to be striving for something. And of course there's value in that. I don't want everyone to sit around and do nothing like the Big Lebowski or something like that. Right. So There's certainly value in that, striving, progress, etc. But when we need to slow down, they're because of how we're feeling, the rocks that we're carrying, the weight that we're carrying. What is so difficult about accepting slow? And I think, and I'll pause after this. I think when I say slow, I'm not talking about schedule. I'm talking about pausing, reflection, and being kinder to yourself. So that's what I mean when I mean slow. So I think to answer your question, I'm trying to unwind that. I'm trying to rewrite, to change that part of me.
Good luck. Tell me what's the recipe, because I would love to do it once you know. Just call me.
It's years, man, years of work, and the work continues.
Yeah, and as I tell all my guests, like I must be really a fucked up person, because every time my guests tell me what is their imperfection, I find it in me. So, here again, you know. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what do you think this is not allow? What like, how does this is this standing in your way of achieving what you want in life?
Uh, so imperfection is, I think it's where the growth begins. If I kind of and I'll weave that into what we were discussing earlier. When we try to overplan, overprogram, put everything in a box, make it align, make it neat, orderly, symmetrical, whatever word works. I think we are just setting ourselves up for failure. We are ensuring that we will be stressed the fuck out. Like it's going to happen. And so when we let go a little bit, I think that's where the growth is. Like that's where you stumble into things that you never would have programmed. You never, okay, I'm going to have an hour to be silly. I'm going to have an hour for play. Who puts silly? Oh, we're very professional men. Right. Exactly. Right. We're incredibly professional men, middle-aged, got all these things. And who puts silly on their calendar? Who puts play on their calendar? Who puts wandering on their calendar? And so we don't. And that's where the joy is. That's where that's where life happens.
Yeah, Tony, and not only the joy, I would say that's where we meant that's what we are meant to do. Like that's what historically a human being has been doing, you know? And is it, like sometimes I ask myself, were we born to live in an apartment, drive a
Mm,
car, sit in front of the computer now more and more, or the telephone all the day, or at work? Are we meant to do that, or are we meant to wander, to discover, to be close to nature, to walk barefoot on the street, or on the in the ground, on the earth? And sometimes we are so much programmed, when we are so much in this system, that we don't even see
mm,
that there is something else to life. And that's why also I go to your back to your uh, like initial talk. That's
mhm,
why when we are slow, we are afraid. We are afraid of the unknown. We are afraid of the uncertain. We are afraid that we are not good enough. We all these elements come back to us, and that's why the system keeps us busy. You know, so we're trapped. What to do?
Well, I agree. And this idea of the fear, or the judgment, and or the judgment that comes in not uh, perpetually doing something, like, what is the image? Like the hamster in the wheel,
Yeah,
running. Right. So this judgment, is it ours? I mean, we don't, we were given it. Someone at some point gave us this basket of ideas of judgment, stress, etc. You have to, or you won't be. If you don't do this, you will be some version of lesser. So at some point, someone either handed us this basket, this heavy, heavy basket, or they put it on our back and we got used to it. Or we never even made a choice. We just unconsciously accept, here you go. Oh, okay, great. This is part of me now. And so it's there. I mean, sometimes we don't even choose it. And that's, oh, I mean, my first thought is like, oh man, that's, not only is it heavy, but man, to not have choice about how you're wired, what you do with your time, where you direct your energy, that makes me sad. And then I get angry. And then I'm like, okay, well, what am I going to do with that? I'm going to change something, because I've got, like, we all have a finite amount of time on this lovely little rock. And I'm not okay with being a hamster on a wheel,
Yeah,
on a rock.
and you and you know what? What is crazy is at once a spiritual guide of mine told me something that scared me so much. He
Mm,
told me if we don't have a purpose in life, at best, we will be a mean for others to reach their own purpose, like the rat race.
yeah. Yeah. That scares me too. Part of me is a bit heartened by it. Like, okay, if I can help others, serve others to reach their purpose, great. But if that's not my purpose, what the hell am I doing? Um, I mean, if we're lucky, we live to be 75, 80 years old. And so that means, like, what, it's autumn now, right? So we have 75 autumns, 75 winters, 75 springs, 75 summers. I'm sure I read that somewhere. Please don't attribute that to
Yeah,
me.
no, I read it and it's scary.
Yeah. So if it's scary, okay, like what is it rubbing up against? What is it like? For me, I'm like, okay, that sucks. I don't like that. So what do I do about it? And,
I would say that in my case, the difficulty when it comes to this kind of situations is that in my work, I work with people who are not sharing, for example, always this vision of things, or not aware of all that. So it's very difficult in other situations also, it's very difficult to keep a balance between, even for example, with the education of my kids, like I want them to be very good at school, but at the same time I know that it's bullshit. you know so it's very difficult to find a balance
yeah.
between yes, do this, or no, take time to do that, or yeah, I already feel overwhelmed, Tony, because we are bombarded with information, we are connected to everything. Now you have the AI that is coming on. We see wars happening with AI. We see at school things are at work, even like you receive now type templates and documents. You don't even know if somebody wrote it or not, and you are like, what? So, yeah, it's a crazy world, huh, we live in.
No, I'm glad you brought up children, because I think, what you shared took me to a couple of places. And I was listening to the most recent episode, and you were talking about parenting, or the previous episode, and all the stress that we
Love it.
internalize. Yeah. And it was, and really parenting is, I mean, really you're just trying to not screw up the children. Really, you're trying to do your best, and it's hard. And to your point about the system, is like, okay, we know how the system works. We felt it. We've suffered through it. How do we set up our children to be the best version of themselves? And essentially, I mean, you want your children to be smart, compassionate, but also, like, at their core, you don't want them to be assholes. That matters. But you also want them to have the best, more opportunities than you
Exactly.
had. But how do you give that to them without passing on 100% of the bullshit that you inherited from others? Yeah, I have no solution other than talking about it, like putting it on the table is meaningful, and it's a first step.
Tony, it's a pleasure really to talk to you, but I have a thin line in my podcast. I have few questions that I have to ask, you know? And although I'm enjoying all this conversation, I need to go back to my plan, huh? This is the callback to the system.
On y va, let's go.
On y va. So, my question to you would be, in which situation in life or in which role you had, you felt the most pressure to be perfect?
I'm exhaling perfection. So, I mean, there's two thoughts that come to mind. The first is my past. Living the life that I had as an Army officer, there was an expectation of shades of perfection. You know, because when there is not, there's consequences that are really meaningful. So, not only for those that wear a uniform or those that just happen to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, as these the terrible circumstances associated with conflict and war always happen. So there's that. And then I remember my slow evolution from that rigid space toward coaching. And I kind of internalized the same thing with coaching. I was like, oh, okay, I'm a coach. I have to show up. Every coaching session has to be fabulous. I have to solve all of their problems in 1, 2, 3,
Good
4,
job.
5 sessions. I mean, it has to be amazing. And at a certain point, and I don't remember how or why, maybe it was just through the repetitions, connecting with other coaches, I realized like, no, it's really not my job to fix anyone. I mean, our profession is about helping others embrace who they are. And how joyful is that to be able to do that with other people when they are working through the same system, similar struggles, stresses, etc.
Yeah. I think you're touching a very important point here. I think even normal people, not only coaches, we feel as normal people, we feel that we need to solve the issues of every responsible of things that are out of our control. Maybe I'm talking about myself, but I'm always feeling that I'm responsible of things that are out of my control, or I need to uh, solve the problems of others. And I've been trained, I've been programmed to do that, you know, like very
Yeah.
well. Thank you, my parents, you know. But thank you, mom, more more precisely.
Uh,
but yeah, I hear a very deep exhale, knowing that you just came back from the US, seeing your parents when I spoke about them. Tell me more. You know?
um, oh, how do I say it? So, uh, as you described, I recently spent about 2 weeks in the U.S. and um, it was a difficult experience sometimes. And the two things that it takes me to is the current turmoil that's going on in the U.S. That's quite disheartening. It's certainly an imperfect country, um, but to see it so divided, and I think to see it in a space where cruelty has become normal, that really bothers me because I've seen cruelty. I've seen humans be cruel to each other, and it's to see it happen in day-to-day discussions and politics by leaders is really disheartening. So, and that, and I spend a lot of time with my family, and they're all very good people. But I think because of I've kind of been an outsider in my family, having lived away many years, and also, you know, as a coach, we're taught to, as you know, to listen and to ask questions. That's different than many other people, and I'm very different in how I show up for my family, and that carries a weight because you're listening, and it's often heavy, and you have a shared kind of emotional baggage with all of them. So I am resting and recovering and knowing that however it ended up, to the point of imperfection, however each visit ended up, or there's no perfect end state. As we try to do with everyone, I was there and I tried to be fully present with them, and that's okay. That's good enough.
That's good enough. I love it. I need to
Yeah.
internalize it because or we're doing our best. You know,
Yeah.
everybody's doing their best.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
So tell me, Tony, um, you spoke about how imperfection helped you grow.
Mm-hmm.
How did it do it?
I mean, I always go to visuals and metaphors as you know. I mean, I think of like a wall or a sidewalk with cracks in it, or pottery. I forget the Japanese technique that uses it. But those small breaks, pain, the failure, the fatigue, there's always something in each crack. And if we create time or slow down enough to sit and look at it, I think not only we will see ourselves, but we'll see other people. I mean, how many? I'm thinking about just engaging with someone who you've known for years. We all do this banal platitudes. How are you? How have you been? How are the kids? And it's all, I mean, fine. We'll play the social game. But I'm always, sometimes you can see it in someone's eyes when you ask them, how are you? And then you let them, they reply. And then, you say, hey, how are you really? Um, and that's when it comes out. We are reminded of our humanity and how similar we are. Oh, regardless of what country we were accidentally born in, what religion we were accidentally given, what flag we accidentally swear allegiance to 90% of the time. I think the commonality of humanity comes out. And man, to be able to, or when you can sit with someone and look in those cracks, I think you get back in touch with yourself. And it like those meaningful conversations, we always remember them. We don't remember the banalities, but I think we remember those. So I hope that I answered your question, but I tend to go in some odd places. So I hope I answered your question.
You know, you're so good at it, so I don't even know, but I'm satisfied, you know?
Perfect.
But yeah, you convinced me. I don't think, by the way, you answered it, but I'm happy. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But you know, it's always the point of view, anyways. But you were saying something at the end of your like now. I think not only communal. I really love what you said about being like the communality that we have with other humans, and you can look at it from a country, religion, flag base, but you can also look at it from a social and economical point of view, like the
Yep.
janitor, the employee,
Yep.
like yeah, a farmer, the CEO, and we are all at some place connected in some level, you know. And I would say even more than connected and communal, I would say we are one at the end of the day. Like we are all
Yeah.
connected. What's happening in one part of the world is affecting what's there in the other part, and what's happening with my neighbor is affecting me indirectly. And it's like we're in we're in spirals. The humanity is in spiral, and whenever there is a down for one part of the human beings, it will come to the others. So yeah, I really see that, and
Yeah.
I experiment sometimes very few moments in life. I experiment this oneness with others, but I mostly forget it every day. You know,
Mm,
I identify to my thoughts. Identify to my positions. I forget myself. Even I forget everything,
yeah.
and I'm like too much in my right, wrong, perfect, imperfect. And yeah, so thank you for reminding us of this. Although you didn't answer the question. No, I'm kidding. But Tony, so we're talking about a crazy world in which we live.
Mm.
We're talking about a crazy mind in which we inhabit also. What do you do to ground yourself and to remain sane in this imperfect obsessed world or
Oh,
perfection obsessed world?
yeah. That's a great point. Oh, great question. I think certainly because of my background, I am, I try to be, the word that came up was human, but I think the more precise word is vulnerable. So I'm really trying, and this helps me, right? I'm really trying to be more human. And practically, I mean to be more vulnerable, because everyone can go to LinkedIn and the highlight reel or whatever, the highlight reel, the perfect highlight reel of his life. And man, it's like, oh, he got it all together. Man, look, it's all unicorns and rainbows. Everything's fine. And, it just, sometimes it just sucks. And that's okay. So I, to stay grounded, for me, I need to remind myself that it's okay, that it's like that. And then whenever I feel like it's not too heavy, because there's just some days when I don't want to share and I don't want to connect. I don't want to commune, and that's okay too. I try to connect and share with other people. And it's, you think, and that was one of my concerns about walking into coaching, is that how much am I going to take on? Like, how much of this am I going to put on my back? And honestly, that's never been a problem. So I think, to answer the question, because I'm going to try to follow the system and the script.
Yeah, please.
um, no, it's reminding myself that I can be human, I can be vulnerable, I can be imperfect, and I can share that with other people too. Because I mean, that's how you build trust, by showing your humanity. Um, and that's not always easy.
No. And Tony, practically, because I know it, you also, for example, do some artistic stuff, or creative work. Can you tell us more about that? Because I think that this also helps you ground yourself, no?
Mm, it does. I try to play with like building blocks. I'm 47. And I have building blocks, little stone building blocks in my office, my very professional office with my very professional persona and gravitas. I have building blocks in my room because, damn it, I can play with building blocks if I want to. Last time we connected, I was writing poetry, and that sense evolved, and I think you'll really appreciate this. So now, what is absolutely a wonderful release for me is, so here's the short version. I go find an old jar, like an old apothecary jar, the one with the lid that used to have. So I have a jar. Then I take scraps of paper, about, about the length of a hand, but quite thin, right? And then I find affirmations, short sentences that remind people, I think, to the point of our conversation, about their humanity, their imperfection, grace, patience, love of self, respect for others, respect for self. And then I'll write a sentence on it. And then I'll take it and I'll roll it up and I'll put it in a little capsule, like a pill. And then I'll take that capsule and I'll put it in a jar. And some of
Wow.
these jars are quite large and have 100 of them in them. And then I'll give these jars to people and say,
Amazing.
here, this is for you or your community. You use it whenever it's right for you. So I think, and I think I think it's fair to say that it's of value for other people. But I think, to your question, it's kind of a release for me. It's what's the word in English? It's cathartic.
Yes.
Or I am using, there's kind of a ritual each time. It takes a few minutes to do each one. But in doing that, I am, I literally, I have to slow down to do, number one, because my handwriting is crap, right? So I have to slow down. So it forces me, to the point earlier, of slowing down, but I'm slowing down in service of me. And then, I may write this, like I was doing it last night. I may write something on a piece of paper now in yesterday, October 26th. It may go in a jar, and someone in the United States, in France, in Italy, somewhere, may open it in 2 years or 6 months or a week. And so, in that moment of slowness for me, in that moments of grace for me, it's going to someone else in time, in their time, whenever it comes up in their world. So that, I think, I'm going to answer this question. That is what I'm doing now for me, and then by extension for others as well.
It's a beautiful beautiful way of being at service of yourself and of others. And this reminds me of Lar, who was in the podcast, in the last podcast
Mm-hmm.
published. Uh, I I told her, can I publish some videos on the Instagram and all that? She said, yeah, go ahead, no problem. But don't count on me because I don't like to promote myself, to promote podcasts and promote content and social media and all that. And I told her, she told me at the end, she told me, what do you think? And I thought of it and I told her, listen, when I promote something when I put a video on YouTube or when I promote something on Instagram, my intention is not to promote myself or promote the podcast or promote, or shine or become famous or whatsoever. Although I would like to. No, but the intention is very important. And the intention that I have is that I put a content that is accessible to
Yeah.
anyone, anytime, anywhere. And then maybe there will be millions that will not look at it and that they will not like it, even if they looked at it. But maybe there will be one or two or three persons that will look at it
Yeah.
at a moment in their life where it will make sense for them. It will make a difference in their life. And this is why I'm putting this effort in doing that. And I think, as you said earlier, when what you are doing for others is also serving you, it's amazing. And you remember when we started talking this morning, today, you told me if you are stressed by work because I'm stressed at work, we can record the episode in next time. I told you, no, this I'm doing it for me because I love these moments of connection with other amazing people. And so, yeah, I totally understand you. And the idea of the jar is phenomenal.
Yeah. And I love what you shared there, because millions may not, but if it speaks to one or two people in a difficult moment, or in a fabulous, when they're having a fabulous
Yeah,
day, if it lands with someone, okay, it was all worth it.
yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. Let's not go. You're not helping me stay strict. Huh? I'm being
So
imperfect in my imperfect podcast. No, but yeah, because we are in a world where the number of likes is the most important, and not the person behind the like.
yeah,
We forget. Even me, when I look sometimes at Instagram, I'm like, okay, how many likes do I have? And
yeah,
very few times I go to see who liked it. Oh, it's
yeah,
500. Oh, no, no, no.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. I mean, we're feeding that ego that's still there. I mean, it happens.
yeah. So Tony, imagine that we don't know each other,
Mm-hmm.
and you are not in Como, you are not in your house, you are not in your office, you are not in this world, you are not in this body. You are most amazing place for you. It could be nature without any responsibilities, any constraints. And then I meet you.
Mm,
Who would I meet?
So I'll take the tableau and add to it. This is two people standing in the woods, or whatever kind of natural space you automatically go to. And so we've met face to face, but not a word has been passed, sitting or standing right up in front of each other. And then I would not share the standard story of where I came from. I would probably share a sentence, one sentence, and then let it sit for however long it needed to with the other person. And then if he or she, you, I, decided to share, that's their space. And then like here's a phrase that's coming up for me now, and it's incredibly relevant to what we're discussing today. It's actually two sentences, but we'll let it slide. Maybe there's a semicolon. So I'm thinking about perfection and imperfection, I think, to our point today. So for me, this is, I think, what I would share. Perfection is sterile, lonely, heavy, impossible. Imperfection is where life, joy, and growth happens.
Thank you for the next slogan of my podcast. But wow, no, really, Tony, I'm sorry. I have to. I use humor, like I live through humor, you know. But
Yeah, I
at the
do it.
same time, at the same time, I really think what you've said is so powerful, you know. And yeah, it resonates a lot with
Mm,
me and with everything we've said today. And I think it's a great way to end this podcast on a few. And I'm very also relieved because you're still doing poems because it
mm,
sounded like a poem also. And I really I really felt that every word you used was really thought of. You know, it's not
mm,
like we're putting some words next to each other. So thank you for that. Let me recap maybe in a few words what we've talked about. So we started by talking about your amazing journey as a U.S. Army officer who transitioned into coaching
mm.
and self exploration, you know, and vulnerability. How having these two lives and so in the transition going hand in hand was kind of painful in a way. Then you spoke to us about your imperfection of the day, which was that you could not, you wanted to accept to slow sometimes and to take things more with time to wonder, to be in the reflection, and how in the life that we live today, it became something that impossible or even judged or even not good. Um, and so we spoke about the RAS rate, how we are always running to do things that we don't know why we are doing them for people we don't know who they are, and
Yeah.
how it is important to go out of this RAS rate. We spoke also about the pressure you felt as a US officer and as a father in being perfect in some situations, and how it is difficult in today's world to be a parent to kids and be able to at the same time push them to be the best version of themselves and also be productive and successful in the material world in which we are. What did we talk also about? We spoke about how imperfection and how the cracks of the jars make this jar a perfect one, and this is where the light comes in, you know. And we finished by saying an amazing quote about perfection and imperfection. I'm not gonna quote it again, but I will learn it by heart for next time. But it was around perfection is impossible and lonely. This is what I remember.
Mm,
Perfection, yeah, and imperfection is happy or enjoyable,
mhm,
and uh, it gives growth.
mhm,
And on that, Tony, I want to thank you for this amazing episode. It was a real pleasure to exchange with you as always. You took us to places that are unexploited until now.
mm.
And yeah, so thank you.
Thank you for creating this space. Thank you for being the warm, fuzzy human being that you are. And I am absolutely looking forward to the next time when we are able to share a bit of coffee or some time together in Paris. So thank you.
Yes, thank you, thank you. And yeah, and maybe probably this is what I say to all my guests at the end. Maybe we'll have another episode when we will have 1 million followers. What do you think? Soon enough, maybe two,
Of
three
course.
months,
Of
no?
course.
This is, you
Yeah.
know,
I mean,
manifestation and
I mean, maybe even shorter.
yeah, exactly. Okay. Thank you so much,
Yes.
Tony.
Yes. And
Guys,
more.
please,
Yes.
huh?
Yes. I would love to come back whenever it's the right moment. So please.
Thank you. Thank you. And please, guys, follow us. We're on YouTube. We have a YouTube channel, The Luck Coach. We have also Instagram page. Subscribe, share, like. Although you're not only a number. And yeah, we count on you. Thank you. Ciao.
Ciao.